Okay everyone, so now we are going to discuss very important topic of C programming, that is called the function. Now talking about the function is a set of statements that take input, do some specific computation and produces the output. So function is used for specific computation. And second thing is function can be called multiple times to provide reusability and modularity to the C program. So another task of function is reusability and modularity. These are the three important features of the function. The number one is computation, means let us suppose that you want to perform a plus b. That can be easily done with the help of function, or even you can create the function for very large computation. I have taken a small simple example. Then reusability, once you create the function, you can call it many times, multiple times, means multiple times you can perform a single task. Then modularity, it is not like the simple void main and you are writing the complete program. You can divide the program into small parts. So that is called the modularity. Computation is just like you want to perform pi r square. Pi r square is a computation. You want to perform length into breadth, that is computation. Means any calculation part is the computation. Modularity, modularity मॉड्युलैरिटी को बताने के लिए लेट अस सपोज दैट यू आर सेइंग लेंथ इनटू ब्रेड्थ. ओके, नाउ दिस लेंथ इनटू ब्रेड्थ you are doing somewhere else in some other area, that is called modularity. Okay, I am giving one example. Let us suppose that we are taking a big program. In that we are having normal void main, and there is a single bracket we are using. There is one statement for a plus b, one for a minus b, and there are multiple statements in between. Okay, that is a single program. But if I talk about modularity, let us suppose that I am having a void main. Separately I am having one more module is just like a block. There I am doing the sum, a plus b part means the calculation, and there is another block where I am only performing the subtraction. So these are the modules. Modules means module 1, module 2, even main program is also a module. Okay, so just like we are having multiple modules, the readability is more. So talking about this one, there is more readability. Let us suppose that there is some problem coming into plus, we will directly go to the module M2 and checking this plus statement. So more readability, easy debugging, that is the main part of the function. So that comes into the modularity. This one is the modularity, and there the modularity is not present. So next one we are having is the syntax. Syntax tell us how we can perform this function. Now in the syntax of function we are having a return type. Return type means int, float, char, means what is returning. Then function name. In the function name we are having any data type and then the parameter. Now there will be the bracket start, the code to perform, bracket close. If I make a normal function as per the syntax, how can we make return type? Return type means function is returning what? Let us suppose that if I provide void means nothing is returning. Then if I say function name, let us suppose that sum is the name of function. Data type, it can be int. Parameter, let us suppose that a. In the bracket, what should I perform? That I will write. I am taking another example to make you understand. Let us suppose that return type I am taking is int. Then function name, let us suppose that sum. Then bracket start. Data type, let us suppose that int. Parameter a. Now I can also take out more parameter if I want. Let us suppose that comma int b. I can take more parameters as per my choice. Bracket start, the code I have to write, then bracket. close. So that is the syntax of the function. Once we are going to learn the function with the help of the program, then we will understand more about the function. The number of times you are going to take the arguments or the parameter, same time you will take out their data type. Let us suppose that I am taking two arguments there, so two data types are required. The data types can be different. Let us suppose that int a float b, that happen, but int a comma b, that will not be there, because every parameter is having the corresponding data type. Okay, and this one is the return value, return type of the function. If I talk about the first function, the return type is void. Void means is function is returning nothing. Function is not going to return anything. And in the second function, we are having the return type int. That means function after performing will give the result of integer type. Any integer value function will return after performing the task. Now under the function we are having next thing is types. Types of function. Now there are two types of function. One is called the library functions and second one is the user defined functions. If I talk about the library function, all the functions which are already there in the C programming header file, they are called the library functions. Just like we know that scanf, that is for taking the input, printf, that is for giving the output to the screen, gets, that is taking the string, puts, that is printing the string on the screen, seal, sealing function. Let us suppose that we are having value 12.7. Sealing will make it to 13. Sealing means what is the upper value of that? Floor. Let us suppose that I am having the value 12.2. Floor will give you the lowest value. That will be 12 because below that 12 is there. So such type of functions which are already there in the library of C programming header file is called the library functions. Gets function is used to take out the string. Just like scanf, we are taking the normal values. Gets take the proper string at one time. Let us suppose that if I want to enter my name, Ankit, then gets will take the complete name, complete string at a time. Puts is going to print out the complete string on the screen at a time. Gets and puts are the string functions. So these are the library functions which are already there into the C programming library. Then the next type of function are user defined function. Any function that user declare and that is not the part of C programming library header files, that is called user defined. Let us suppose that I am making sum which is not there into system, subtract. So any function of my choice which I create, that is called the user defined function. But if I create some function, I have to give their programming as well. It is not like that I will say sum and sum will happen. I have to give the complete program. I have to write the same program for that. But there in the library functions, programs are already written into the library. So that is the difference between library functions and the user defined functions. Library functions like scanf, printf, these are already defined. Their coding is already done into the header files of the C programming. But if I talk about the user defined functions, their coding user have to done by themselves. Means if I am going to define any function, let us suppose that mult for multiply, then that multiply function coding I will write, means what that function will do, user have to write that. But there in the library function, we used to use the scanf function, scanf percentage d and all. So that coding, how percentage d is working, ampersand is working, that is already written into the C programming. Means library functions are already defined into the C programming, but user defined function, user have to define them. Now next we are having is the classification of function. Now functions are classified into four categories. The first category we are having is the function without argument and without return value. Now the next category of function is function without argument and with return value. The next type of category of the function is function with argument and without return value. And the last type of category, which is the fourth category, is function with argument and with return value. I am giving you a very simple example. Let us suppose that we are taking function without argument. Now if I say the function sum is there and the bracket is empty, so there is no argument, and without return value, that means the return value is void. That is called function without argument, without return value. Next one we are having is function without argument. That means some function is there, the bracket is empty, and with return value, let us suppose that return value is int. If some return value is there, then we have to use the return statement. Now next type of category is function with argument. Let us suppose that I am making a sum function. Now I am giving a argument int a inside that, and without return value means return value is void. Now the next type of function is function with argument. Let us suppose that I am making sum and the argument I am giving is int a, and with return value, and the return value I am giving is int. So if I am giving int, I have to put the return also. So these are the four classification of functions. Now we are going to learn the individual program for each of the classifications so we can understand functions more.